Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. If you've ever visited, you want to come back. If you've ever thought, well, where would be the coolest, best place to retire? Or where can I get an investment property on the beach? Well, then you've had to consider Hilton Head Island. Now, Hilton Head Island is composed of roughly 5 geographical areas previously called plantations. The one we're going to talk about today is Sea Pines. Hi, I'm Bob LeFavi. If at any time during this video you have any questions whatsoever, write down this number and contact me or my wife. There are no stupid questions, whether it's housing, finances, recreation, tourism, you name it, just ask away. Take a look at this map and you'll see that Hilton Head Island is shaped a little bit like a shoe, pointed toward the south. Now also you'll see the 5 different geographical areas or plantations. Hilton Head Plantation being roughly at the heel, Sea Pines at the toe. And these 2 plantations, these 2 estates, if you will, they are related to one another. If you get into one, you get into the other. Now, Sea Pines is unique though. 5,000 acres filled with a nature preserve, loaded with dining and shopping, marina, boating, all kinds of recreation, 5 miles of white sandy beaches, and of course, a variety of different golf courses, including the RBC Heritage PGA Tournament. Now come with me. We're going to drive around Sea Pines a little bit, give you an idea of what some of the houses look like, some of the neighborhoods are like, and you might ask the question, Bob, why are you showing me trees? Remember, this is a resort, but also a nature preserve, so the houses are there, you're just going to see a lot of trees too. And then we're going to sit down with a couple, a fixture on the island, well known, who lives in Sea Pines and has a lot to say about it. So come on. Okay, so we are in Sea Pines with 2 people. If you're going to move to Hilton Head, you want to know who they are. This is the famous Johnny and Carmen DiCecco. Carmen, who's the one to my right, Carmen is about as close to a native. That's a mythical feature, you know, a native of Hilton Head Island. You hear about them, but no one knows, no one's ever met one. But Carmen's about as close to a native as you can ever find on Hilton Head. Been here since 11 years old.
11 years old.
11 years old.
1977.
So you've been here about 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And Carmen is a communications consultant. Does a lot of writing. They're well known in Hilton Head. To her right is her husband, Johnny. Johnny is a feature on Hilton Head Island, well known by everyone here. He is the president of the Italian American Club of Hilton Head, which is the largest social organization on Hilton Head and is responsible for so many events that if you live here, you'll participate in. For example, the very famous Hilton Head Italian Festival, which occurs in the fall, and there are thousands of people who come here. Johnny runs all that and all the other Italian American events throughout the year. So, Carmen, I want to talk to you first. So, you've seen a lot happen. You've been here for decades. I mean, you grew up.
Yes.
Not only on Hilton Head, but you grew up in Sea Pines.
Yes.
So what changes have you seen in Hilton Head in general, and then maybe more specifically, what about life in Sea Pines? What do you see happening and how has it changed?
A lot of changes, all good. Hilton Head has developed as a world-class resort, as has Sea Pines, and but it has gone from being strictly a resort to being a very family-friendly community as well, which has been a huge bonus to people that live here and families that want to move here. It's really, activities have grown for families that go beyond the traditional golf and tennis, which is what Hilton Head was founded on. But now there's community centers, there's excellent schools, The neighborhoods are true neighborhoods. People know your name, and it's just turned into a wonderful family community. It's great for families to visit, but it's also, you know, for families that want to live here, there's no shortage of anything you could want. There really isn't.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there's, you know, years ago, it was, you retired to Hilton Head, and if you're lucky to get in the Sea Pines, you got in the Sea Pines.
Right.
But now there's more to do.
Yes.
And so families are more engaged.
Yes.
And family life occurs here. Well, talk about the life here. I mean, what do you do throughout the day if you're going to hang out in Sea Pines? And what opportunities are there for people to get engaged with each other?
Right. Sea Pines has a lot. I mean, you could spend a whole week on vacation and never leave the Sea Pines gate and still not have done everything in Sea Pines that you want to do. The beaches are gorgeous, number one. They're just sandy, you know, no rocks or, you know, they're just pure. Bike trails everywhere that are off the road, so they're safe. We have a school in Sea Pines, a private school, Hilton Head Prep, which has gotten better and better through the years. Hilton Head High School outside of Sea Pines is the best in the state for public schools. And we have a forest preserve in Sea Pines, which is always exciting to go through. You can bike through it, you can go fishing in there, you can just walk the trails, and it's well preserved, historic. There's shops, there's restaurants, 2 marinas with all kinds of boat cruises that you can go on a dolphin watch, you can go parasailing, you can just get on the Vagabond, it will take you all around the island for a sunset cruise. I mean, there's just, the options are endless, they really are.
And that reminds me of something that Johnny always says, right? When I ask him, you know, about how do you like living in Sea Pines and what's it like to be there, Johnny says, you know, it's not just a little development, right? I mean, you phrase it differently, right?
No, it's a large development. It's one of the largest plantations on Hilton Head Island. I think the only other is Hilton Head Plantation, which was formed by the same founders as Sea Pines. And my gate pass is as good here as in Hilton Head Plantation.
That's
is here.
Another bonus
and
about
that's another
Sea
bonus.
Pines.
Living in Sea Pines, you have access to Hilton Head Plantation, which is very similar. When you go in, you're gonna think you're in Sea Pines.
Right.
It's very similar. But yeah, Sea Pines, living here now 12 years. I'm a transplant from the north, brought down by Carmen and her dad. For whatever reason, I don't know. But you know, at first when I moved here, I got to be honest, I had 1 foot over the bridge, and it was only because of my city background. You know, coming from a city and moving to a beautiful place like Hilton Head, and then on top of it, Sea Pines.
Right.
It's wooded. It's beautiful. The nature preserve, like Carmen said, is absolutely wildlife. The whole thing. Yeah. Including some Italian guys that could be considered wildlife. But yeah, no, we love living here. I love living here, and the tourism is what this whole island is about. And Sea Pines probably leads the way because of the resort that it is and what it has to offer.
And that's a point. It's a resort.
It is a resort
because it's a different feel.
It is a resort.
When I drive through Sea Pines, I don't feel like it's a Disney World, you know, it's plasticky. And I also don't feel like I'm just driving through some neighborhood.
No, and there's a lot of history too. There's where I grew up on Baynard Cove, there is the Baynard Ruins, which is the ruins of a real plantation home that has been preserved, and it has, you know, like slave quarters that used to, they're kind of broken down, but
there are 5 or so different sections of Sea Pines, different sections. Do you, as a homeowner here, do you feel a difference when you go from one to the other, or what's the variety of housing in Sea Pines in particular?
There are some different places. You know, this Harbor Town, this area here, would be one development. It's mostly comprised of visitors and guests to Hilton Head.
Golfers.
The condominiums around here are mostly privately owned, but the people don't actually live here. You know, they're
tourism, rentals,
a lot of short-term rentals.
This whole area is a real neighborhood. I think it's a section that you're talking about, not the neighborhood, but Then there's where I grew up, Baynard Cove, that area, the Heritage Wood, it's called Heritage Woods.
Right.
And that, those roads crisscross with the Heritage Golf Course, the Harbor Town, where the tournament takes place. And that's another huge neighborhood of residents, mostly.
Sure.
A few, you know, investment homes, but mostly residents. Just about everywhere getting towards that is a bike ride to the beach. Sure. Harbor Town, not so much, but you're right here on the water.
Right.
Then there's, I'm sorry, there's a bug. I'm sorry. Cut. So, and then South Beach, that's another great neighborhood. South Beach can get a little congested just because it's sort of like one way in, and you're down there, and if it's a busy night, you're gonna have
there's a lot going on.
But you really, once you get down there, you don't want to leave. You want to stay there because there's entertainment. There's you're on the big beach.
It's a cool beach.
Yeah, it's great. And then all of that area from South Beach going back up to the back gate, not the gate you came in.
Right.
We have a back gate. That's South Beach. South Sea Pines Drive, and then it turns into North Sea Pines Drive. But it's one road out. There's another golf club there that has 2 golf courses: the Atlantic and what's the other one? The Heron. Heron and the Atlantic, and then the Beach Club.
Then you have the world famous PGA the Heritage Classic, which is right here.
And then where we live is another neighborhood all its own. It's called the Club Course. And it's it's another little gated, but you don't have to get a pass. It's just, you drive in, and then the country club, the Sea Pines Country Club, is where we live.
Right.
But that's another neighborhood of families and like I said, and in the club course, there are no short-term rentals. That's the only thing they won't allow is that no vacation rentals.
Which makes it really nice in the summer.
Yeah, it does.
Really nice in the summer.
So someone coming here really needs to investigate the area of Sea Pines, what's allowed, what's not allowed. But in terms of what they would expect for happiness of living. I mean, just the quality of life, just making friends and all of that. I mean, do you meet your neighbors? Do you, is it a friendly, you find that?
Oh yeah. Well, where we live, and plus when we lived, when I was growing up on Baynard Cove, we did know our neighbors. When I was growing up, they were mostly older because they were all retired. But now that when I go over there or ride my bike through there, you see a lot of families, and, dogs and kids. And,
so people are out and about and engaged in recreation or other things.
Oh yeah, lots of bike riders.
Yeah.
You see everybody on the bike trails, either jogging, biking. They're it's a very Hilton Head all over is a very outdoorsy place. That's one thing you'll notice.
It's a health-conscious island.
You see people all the time working out.
The whole island is very health conscious with all the bike trails. I think we've got 66 miles of bike trails. I mean,
all right, but if you're not a golfer, I don't play tennis. Is it? Would you say, well, you're going to be wasting time and money in Sea Pines, or?
Oh no. There's plenty to do in Sea Pines if you don't play golf or tennis. In fact, and I mean, a lot of times when I go to the beach, you walk a few miles, you always see like there's a big yoga class going on. I mean, people are out, they're just exercising, they're fit, they're healthy, and they're exercising one way or another.
Right.
All over the island.
Sure.
But there's also a huge arts community that a lot of people aren't aware of, but there are a lot of very talented artists that live here. And the Sea Pines Center, which is a little shopping area we'll see on our way out, they have an arts day where they have all the local people bring their arts and sell them. It's a market, an art market outdoor. So there's an awful lot to do, even if you don't play golf or tennis. You don't get bored.
If you're a nature enthusiast, what is there around?
Oh yeah. Well,
that's all there is around here.
I know. Well,
don't touch a tree.
I told you about the forest preserve. So there was the forest preserve, which, like I said, that's a lot of wildlife, alligators that are huge. They're,
watch where you walk.
They leave them alone in there. And there's a lot of water sports. I mean, there's jet skis, but there's also a lot of dolphin cruises. We have a lot of little waterways.
Windsurfing, you got the kayaking, you got
parasailing.
Just, you name it, they got it here. I mean, if you like the water and you like the beach, this is it.
Well, you got shops, you got restaurants, like a resort. Right? The only thing that you have to go outside the gates for is a grocery store. Right.
But the grocery stores are right outside the gate. I mean, you drive out and you take the first right, and
you're in the parking lot.
And the same, we got a movie theater right outside the gate.
Restaurants.
And it's a great movie theater. It's like, you know, the luxury chairs and they serve, you know, beer, wine, food, everything right at where you go to sit in the theater. It's really a nice. It's a little shopping center, and it's really nice. It's got more restaurants and clothing stores and a nail salon and the Harris Teeter. And, you know,
the island itself lacks nothing.
Yeah.
Sea Pines, what makes it, in my opinion, a little bit unique is that it is a resort, and that there is a hotel that's really upscale, it's international, it's right here in Harbor Town. And then you got the people who live here are from all over, very similar to like Florida or it's international. It's international. And the tourists that come in, at one time we used to call this, it used to be called like Ohio Hilton Head. And now it's changed. Now it's, you got them from all over. Now it's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, more northerners coming
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, yeah. Well, not too many Rhode Islanders here. But
well, originally, this is an interesting sort of side note, but originally when Charles Fraser was developing Hilton Head and his original investors, they you know, had so much money to work with. And a portion of that, of course, had to go to marketing because nobody, basically this was a swamp.
Right.
I mean, nobody had ever come out here and you know, fought through the mosquitoes.
Sure.
So they had to figure out, after they developed it, they had to figure out where they were going to, who they would market to.
Right.
And I still don't know quite the reason. And I don't even think my dad does.
Yeah.
But they chose a couple of areas. Ohio was one, and they funneled most of their marketing money into Ohio.
Is that why? That's what initiated.
They went after the landlocked.
That's why everybody's from Ohio.
They went after all the landlocked states, which was so intelligent because they don't have a beach. They have no ocean.
It's a smart thing.
And Ohio also had a lot of families, right? It had just a big family.
Yeah.
You know,
and they can get to South Carolina quicker than they can get to Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
by car. You don't have to get on a plane.
And so they had the bike trails. They knew they were wanting to appeal to American families in the beginning. And so Ohio is where they targeted most of their marketing dollars in those early years, this late 60s, early 70s. Right. And that's why. And then, of course, word of mouth, and then starting to, you know, then Sea Pines developed, and of course they were able to market other places. Plus the golf tournament and the early tennis tournaments were all televised, so people started seeing. I'll never forget, I knew that Hilton Head had arrived when, like in 1984, I think, I was watching Wheel of Fortune, and one of the prizes was a trip to Hilton Head.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, now we're on the national stage.
Now it's pretty regular. Well, these game shows, they do offer a trip to Hilton Head.
You know, Johnny, when you were working on the sister city relationship between the Italian American Club of Hilton Head and Verona, Italy. I mean, Hilton Head's what, 40,000 residents, and then of course a couple of million come throughout the year, but you know, Verona is 10 times that.
Yeah.
And as soon as our liaison over there talked to the mayor there, he said, "Oh my God, Hilton Head Island, we're in."
They already heard of it.
They know Hilton Head Island.
Everybody knows Hilton
Head Island.
And you know what? The other night I was watching Jeopardy, and do you know what the final Jeopardy answer was? Sister City Organization.
Yeah, Sister City Organization. Well, congratulations on all that, Johnny. Carmen, Johnny, thank you very much. What makes it so important to talk to someone who lives here is, you know, as realtors, we always see just, you know, the positives and we talk about the different amenities and things like that. But the experience of living someplace is something that no one really knows unless you are there experiencing it yourself.
All I can tell your customers, your staff, is that if they're trying to sell prime real estate or they're trying to sell a prime location, Hilton Head Island, I got to tell you, 12 years, fantastic. And once you come here, you're going to want to stay here.
Yeah.
And Sea Pines, which separates us, why I like Sea Pines, is for all the reasons we told you, plus that you feel that you're next to nature every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the city. You're next to nature.
Yeah.
You know, watch where you walk.
We have wonderful wildlife, really. We've got huge, you know, herons and ibis and
everything. It's just gorgeous.
Alligators and snakes and coyotes, of course. But the wildlife is really fabulous.
And that protection of nature, it's kind of fed its way into just life on the island. You know, what surprises a lot of people is when I take them to Hilton Head for the first time and we're driving down 278, they're looking around, they're saying, "Where is everybody?" You know, where are the stores? Well, they're back in there behind the trees.
There are no street lights.
Right. You get a little sign
at night. If you don't know where you're going at night, You're not getting there.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's true. It is nice because you can drive down and there may be a house one after another, and you will never notice it because they're all behind the trees.
That's it.
And there are no street lights. There are no neon signs.
Yeah.
You know, McDonald's, none of that.
No,
they can be here,
not
they can
allowed.
have a sign, but it can't be no more than 5 feet high, on the side of the road, no lights.
And
Exactly.
buildings can be no more than 5 stories
Yeah, no
high.
more than 5
You'll
stories.
never see a high rise here.
Well,
I
so
mean,
what Charles Fraser started, it's kept going.
It's
Yes,
gone.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his
Definitely.
vision was people knew how important it was and really haven't veered off from it
Yeah.
at much at all.
Well, there are business opportunities as well.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Okay.
We also have a great live entertainment.
Yeah.
The like right out here, all the restaurants and bars in Sea Pines and just outside the gate, they all have really good live music.
Right.
Really
Right.
good.
We like live music.
Local live music. It's great. It's a great atmosphere. People are very relaxed. And, sit outside. They almost always play outside. And
So a variety of different arts and
Yeah.
cultural events.
we've got we've got an art center
we have
where
some
we
great
get
town parks.
we get tours. We get touring companies that come through our art center and some town parks that
The
are really
parks,
nice.
you know Shelter Cove Park.
Yeah,
they
sure.
have events there. They have
Yeah.
a movie night. They
Oh, yeah.
have bands. They have all kinds of entertainment. I mean,
There's always something going on. the island.
Yes.
But even in Sea Pines.
there might be not just the island. Could
Well,
be
every night they've got
something-
entertainment out here.
They got it here.
If
Pines
you're
and-
thinking of coming to Hilton Head, come to Sea Pines. You'll love it. You won't get bored. You can stay 2 weeks.
But
and
make
you'll
sure
never
you
run out
see
of
Bob and
things to do.
Susan.
Thank you, Carmen.
You won't be making a mistake moving here. This is just
No,
just
you
phenomenal.
won't.
It's
You
phenomenal. It's a whole different style of living.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks,
and
Bob.
hopefully the folks who are coming down here are going to run into you somewhere and say hello.
I hope so.
They
I
probably
hope they
will.
do.
Yeah, they probably will. Thank
They
you.
probably
guys.
will.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Bob.
So whether you're at the end of your work life and you're looking for a best place to retire, or whether you're a family that really appreciates nature and recreation and wants a safe community, or whether you just want an investment property, something you know is going to increase in value, Hilton Head Island values increased 40% between June 2021 and June 2022. That's 1 year, 40%. I'm not sure that you can find a better place than Sea Pines with its nature, its culture, its dining, its restaurants, its beaches, its recreation. If you have any questions at all, please reach out. I hope we'll see you on the island.